are the light of my faith, shining both night and day, shining both night and day. I am a radiant light of God. I shine the light of peace. I am a radiant light of God. I shine the light of peace.
I see your face, I see God's light, guiding you on your way, guiding you on your way.
I am a radiant light of God. I shine the light of beauty. I am a radiant light of God. I shine the light of beauty. With conviction so sound, I know that now is the time to pray. Now is the time to pray. I am a radiant light of God. I shine the light of love. I am a radiant light of God. I shine the light of love. I am a radiant light of God. I shine the light of love. I am a radiant light of God. I shine the light of love.
Thank you. Let's give them a hand. That was fabulous.
Was it?
Yes, it was. It was fabulous. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Stephanie, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you here this morning. Those of you who are in the sanctuary with us, you are a radiant light of God. And those of you who are watching us live stream, you are a radiant light of God. And those of you who will stumble across this later, that is no accident. You are a radiant light of God. It is my great pleasure to greet you. Our guest speaker today is Reverend David McClure. We're very lucky to have him with us again today. I always love that. The title of his talk today is Thanksgiving Day is Thanksthinking Day. Now, don't try to say that 3 times if you've had a bourbon, and certainly don't try to say it 3 times even if you're sober. Our special thanks go out to our musicians and our musical team. Sandra, it's always a pleasure. Chris, thank you so much. Bobby, always beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. And of course, none of this happens without our technical team. Byron, Wayne, thank you so much for all you do to help us keep us live and help keep us going. We appreciate you so much. Thank you. And I'm feeling like I'm a little low. Would you turn me up just a little bit? Thank you. Is that better? Y'all hear me a little better? Thank you. My voice doesn't seem to be traveling as much today as it normally does. And y'all know I have a big voice, so if I think I'm a little low. Anyway, let's open with prayer, and I invite you all to join me. Sweet Spirit, we open our hearts to receive you. We greet this day centered in God and in the knowledge that we are all one in the Spirit of the Christ. It is from this consciousness that we each become an individual expression of the love of God. We envision sending this love out to our world, seeing love extending out to our Unity community, to the city of Spokane, and out across the globe. We honor all those who worship on this day, no matter what religion, for we know that there are many paths to God, but there is only one God. In the warm and loving spirit of unity, we say thank you, God, and amen. And now we will prepare with some more beautiful music, and we'll go to meditation.
The breath of God is breathing me and resting in the breath of God, I know that all is well. The grace of God is gracing me and resting in the grace of God. I know that all is well. The light of God is light in me and resting in the light of God. I know that all is well. The love of God is loving me and resting in the love of God. I know that all is well. The peace of God is breathing me and resting in the peace of God. I know that all is well. The breath of God is breathing me and resting in the breath of God. I know that all is well.
I invite all of those of you who are watching this live stream to find a comfortable position. Whether you meditate with your eyes open or closed, up to you. Take a deep breath and let go everything that is not peace. Breathe in everything that is love and grace, and breathe out all that is not peace. We center ourselves in consciousness. We are free from the limitations. We accept the gift of peace. Grace is the power of divine love. It helps us heal and overcome. It is a protective power. As we quiet our mind and become aware of the channel through which grace and love flows, we open ourselves to the divine, the good that is greater than we and what we can imagine for ourselves. We release error beliefs and we renew our being. We allow grace to flow freely, taking the form of creative ideas and energy to support us as we pursue our purpose. And we breathe. We breathe in all that is love, all that is grace. We breathe out and allow grace to settle over us. We find gratitude in grace, in its many manifestations that help us live in full awareness of love, light, and presence of the divine. We breathe in divine love and light. We breathe out. We'll take a moment just to manifest the divine love within us and channel all that is love, allowing it to fill our centers, moving through us and giving it back. And we breathe. As we begin to come back, I want to ground us back in the present moment. Take a moment to feel yourself returning. When you feel ready, open your eyes. Notice 5 things around you, whether it's the flowers, the person sitting next to you, the chair, the lights. Notice 4 things you can touch. Maybe it's the fabric of your clothing, again, the chair that you're sitting on. Maybe it's the way your hair feels against your head. Maybe you feel air from the heaters. Notice 3 things that you can feel. Maybe you feel peace and love and gratitude. Let those feelings come in. Notice 2 things you can smell. Do you smell your deodorant? Do you smell the deodorant of the person next to you? Can you smell peace? And 1 thing you can taste. And now we'll open it back up before we have our message from Reverend.
I hear the music.
I hear the music
Down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I hear the music.
I hear the music
Down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I hear the music.
I hear the music
Down in my soul.
down in my soul.
And the whole wide world is my home. I got a new day.
I got a new day
Down in my soul.
down in my soul.
I got a new day.
I got a new day
Thank you. We are all very much aware of things happening in the world around us, and sometimes even closer to home. But I want to invite you to hold a vision of a peaceful end to the violence in all nations that are presently at war, and any discourse that is happening in your own life. I invite you to share in Unity's statement for peace. Together, Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, the many ways to worship God, for there is only one power and presence of God, and that God loves each one of us equally. Unity stands for peace in our lifetime. It is therefore the position of unity to urge all nations, their leaders, and their people to turn to God by whatever name for guidance during these challenging times, and to pursue peace, not war. For this is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. Thank you. And now I invite you to stand, pause in silence, and acknowledge the divine in each other. For those of you who are joining us live stream, I encourage you to envision yourself with all of those you consider a part of your spiritual community, and feel yourself expressing love towards these individuals, beholding the divine presence within them, and receiving that back. Thank you.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, that dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, and also on the faces of people going by.
I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you.
Good morning, Spokane. You know, Sandra usually emails me through the week and says, what's your topic, and do you have any songs that you are interested in having played at the service? And I gave her my topic, and the song I suggested was What a Wonderful World. And thought occurred to me that she may not be in a position, given the circumstances that have transpired in her life, to think the world is all that wonderful right now. But at the service yesterday, the final song that was played was Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. So thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you for that, and thank you for the music, all of you. It's wonderful. It is a wonderful world, and I'm here to talk to you about that this morning. How wonderful this world is. It's even more wonderfuler than we have ever come to believe. An elderly man calls his son, who lives in another state, and says, "Son, I hate to ruin your day, but I'm going to have to tell you that your mother and I are getting a divorce. 45 years of misery is enough. We've had it." And the son screams, "Dad, Dad, what are you saying? What are you talking about?" And he says, "We can't stand the sight of each other any longer. We're sick of each other, and I'm sick of talking about this, so you call your sister and tell her." So very frantically, the son calls his sister, and she explodes on the phone and says, "Like heck, they're getting a divorce. I'll take care of this." So she calls her dad immediately and yells at the old man and says, "Now you listen to me, Dad. You're not getting a divorce. Don't do a single thing till I get there. And I'm calling my brother back, and we'll both be there tomorrow. Don't do a thing until we get there." So the old man hangs up and turns to his wife and says, "Okay, they're coming for Thanksgiving. And they're paying their own expenses. Now all we have to worry about is how to get them here for Christmas." Well, not everyone needs to figure out a reason for Thanksgiving. In fact, I would like to give you today a reason to celebrate Thanksgiving every day, including today, especially today, with or without family or friends or turkey. What I'm going to say to you is so simple that I know for a fact that a lot of you will dismiss this, write it off, roll your eyes, and think, well, there he goes again, talking more of that unity nonsense. But hear me out. I'm going to ask you to take my latest Thanksgiving strategy for a spin, drive it around the block, kick the tires, give it a try. Don't take my word for it. You try it out. Here is my Thanksgiving suggestion for you. I want you to treat every day like it's Thanksgiving Day. And I want you to give thanks for everything. And I mean everything. You want me to give thanks for everything in my life? I told you it was a crazy, wild and crazy idea, but that's what I'm inviting you to do, to give thanks for everything. The premise of this wild and crazy idea is that everything, even those things that we have dismissed as not being worth giving thanks for, everything, if you really, really think about it deep down, everything is thankable. It's thankable because it's thinkable. I know it's a wild and crazy idea and totally unthinkable. But that's just the point. Because it's unthinkable, it seems impossible, preposterous, and utterly ridiculous. But I stand before you this morning without apology, asking you to give this a try. What do you have to lose? Unless you woke up feeling absolutely blissful this morning, excited to leap out of bed and jump in the car and come here. There's always room for improvement in the way our life unfolds. And there's always room in our thinking that can lead us to finding more stuff to be thankful for, stuff that we wouldn't even dream is actually possible or thinkable. And when you think about it, isn't that what makes something to bless or something to curse? Isn't it what you think about it? Isn't that what makes it what it is for us? Isn't that how you categorize it? This is thankable, that isn't. This is something that has value in it, and this is something that does not. We characterize it and we categorize it. So I want you to give this concept a whirl from now until the actual Thanksgiving Day on Thursday. Now, last week I gave you a challenge to not complain for 21 days. And this week I'm going to more completely blow you out of your mind, because I'm going to ask you not only to not complain, but now you're going to actually give thanks for the things you were complaining about. Give thanks for what's going on in your life, for every nook, for every cranny, for every situation in your life, and see what happens, especially what happens to your thinking when you look something square in the eye that you hated or don't like or have dismissed, and you give thanks for it. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to your thinking to start with? I know what you're thinking. David's completely blown it. He's gone out of his mind. This is probably the last time I'll be speaking here from this pulpit. But that's the point. I want you to get out of your mind and into your heart. It's never been necessary for us to have to wait until Thanksgiving Day to give thanks, and it's never been necessary for us to just give thanks for all the nice things that we are truly grateful for. There's no rule that says you have to do that. There's no rule that says we can't start giving thanks for things that are not so nice in our lives, that we are experiencing here, there, and everywhere in our life and in our world. When I rethink the not so nice things in my life, I can find in them today, maybe I couldn't at the time, but I can find in them today traces of things that I'm learning and need to learn, to grow, to become more of who and what I am. I can find strength and resilience that I need to cope and overcome the challenges that lie before me. I find a thread of meaning and order that I hadn't seen before. It was the Roman Emperor, Marcus Aurelius, who's pointed out that, and he said this 2,000 years ago around the time of Jesus, that the quality of our lives depends on the quality of our thoughts. And the quality of our thoughts depends on our perception, the way we look at life. Those of you who are students of the Course in Miracles will know that the Course's definition of a miracle is a shift in perception, a shift in the way you look at things in your life. We all have techniques for changing perception. Meditation, mindfulness, affirmations, going to workshops, listening to David on Sunday morning. All of these are great ways to change your perception. But the one that always works 100% of the time is counting your blessings. That will always work for you to change your perception. Not just some of the blessings, but even some of the stuff that you do not consider to be a blessing in your life today. All the hidden blessings that you find in every experience and in every encounter that you have. Jesus didn't just give thanks for the good stuff. He gave thanks for things like lack when he fed 5,000 people who didn't have any food. He gave thanks when he came to the grave of his friend Lazarus. And he gave thanks even when they were stringing him up on the cross. How was he able to do this? He was able to do this because his thinking could see farther than his five senses. He could see the possibilities and the potential. Jesus was the first possibilitarian. And so when you and I start to count our blessings, don't forget there's gold in them thar hills. We may have to do a little panning to see it, to see the glitter in it, see the value in it, but it's there. So this is my contention, that there's a blessing in every experience. There's abundance where we have only seen lack, and there's life in everything we think is lifeless. And I guarantee you that if you count your blessings, you do it, and if you continue to do it, you will lose count. You will lose count of the blessings that are in your life. There are more blessings than you can shake a stick at, as my dad would always say. So this is the challenge that I'm having to offer you today. Let your gratitude join forces with your attitude. You have nothing to lose and a whole new perception to gain. It was Isaac Luria, a 16th century Jewish mystic, who taught this. He said, "Our job on planet Earth is to raise holy sparks, to lure the light out from beneath the husks." He said that one way to do this is by practicing intense, focused reverence. And one way to do that is to give thanks for everything, because there is one presence that permeates all things, not just some things, but all things and all people. And there's one thing that I'd like you to give special thanking to today and in the days ahead, even before Thanksgiving comes along and the turkey is served. It's something that really needs your TLC right now, and you'll never guess what it is. What it is can be explained in this way. You will be spending most of your Thanksgiving, I assume, indoors, perhaps spending most of your time with family, eating turkey, or out at a restaurant somewhere. And maybe some time watching football or Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. And all of that is well and good, but will you spend any time outside? Outdoors? I know it's cold, but if you bundle up and poke your nose out the door and look up, what will you see? The stars if it's nighttime, a flock of geese heading south perhaps, or at our place we see a couple of squirrels finishing up getting things stashed away for the wintertime out our window. We don't want to miss any of the inside stuff, but let's make sure we don't forget the outside stuff as well. What about nature? So often we are sealed inside, our windows closed, our doors locked, completely oblivious to the birds and the beasties and the trees. There's a place that I drive by quite often on Carnahan Road where I always look out and see a couple of buffalo who are grazing in the hay under the shelter of their the farm where they live. There's not too many buffalo you see doing that in Spokane. There's a couple of huge Irish wolfhounds that Donna and I see on our drive down Freya whenever we're going that way. They could be out standing in the cold with their teeth chattering, but there they are, and we acknowledge them and appreciate them. And this is what I saw the other day. I was looking out the dining room window, and just all of a sudden I saw a bazillion starlings come flying down and starting to eat in the grassy patches of grass that were among the snow and eating the food before their journey to somewhere. And I don't quite know how they can get off flying because they're so chubby. These are the fattest starlings that I've ever seen. But what I'm discovering, more often than not, lately, I'm spending too much time on my smartphone. I don't know about you. Byron is. I had a nerve with him back there, I think. When I do this, I miss the call of ravens or starlings or crows as they fly past and out my door, through my door. Every morning the sun rises with a completely different palette of colors, painting a one-of-a-kind vista out my window, but my attention is on getting my first cup of coffee and heading for my laptop. Every day you and I walk or drive by some of the most remarkable things that are going on this planet. Things that the planet has to offer us every day. Things that when we are open and attentive and watchful, have gifts far richer than anything we may have ever experienced in our lives, including the colored leaves that still remain on the trees, and on and on. If we looked around at nature and spent a little more time with her, it would be like inhaling God. It was Hafiz, the Persian poet, who said, "Celebrate the madness, the joy of seeing God everywhere and in everything." When's the last time you saw a meteorite shower? Or the Northern Lights? Or the Milky Way, or the Big Dipper? I mentioned last week that I spent 7 weeks on a freighter traveling between Vancouver Island and Sydney, Australia. And on the day we crossed the equator, we all had to participate in a ceremony for King Neptune, which was quite a bizarre and weird thing. But at any rate, that night, it was warm, and I decided that I would take my pillow, and instead of sleeping in my bunk, I would go out on deck and sleep on the deck and look up at the stars. And it was very humid, and I went out and I looked up, and I saw a constellation that I had never seen before. And I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but can you see the Southern Cross, the 4 stars that are there? I had never seen that in my life. And if I had not gone out under the stars, I would have missed this experience, the Southern Cross. Once I arrived in Sydney, I started a ministry in the city of Sydney, and the name of our ministry was Unity Under the Southern Cross. One of my favorite artists is Vincent van Gogh, and one of my favorite paintings is this one, Starry, Starry Night. And it was Van Gogh who said, if you truly love nature, you will find beauty everywhere. Everywhere. And we could go on to say, if you truly appreciate nature, you will find things to appreciate everywhere and in everything. And among the many things that you are giving thanks for this Thanksgiving, there's one more thing that I want to include here, and that is trees. Give thanks for trees. Give trees a thought and give them the thought of thanks. In fact, what I challenge you to do this week is to, if you don't already have a favorite tree, I don't know if there's a tree around on this property that you've always looked at and admired and appreciated, but give that tree a thought and give it the thought of thanks. In fact, what I challenge you to do this week is pick a tree and spend some time with it. As author Anne Lamott says, trees are so huge they shut you up. This is the tree I chose. It's just outside our apartment. It's a blue spruce, and coming from Canada, I absolutely love blue spruce. It symbolizes to me the beauty of all creation. It symbolizes everything. Many colors, every detail of it, the shape of it. I'm in awe of it. And the risk of sounding like a 60s guy who's on LSD, you might want to get one and give it a hug. I gave my tree a hug this morning, didn't I, Donna? I did that, yeah. It was author Matthew Silverstone who wrote the book Blinded by Science and presented a lot of evidence that hanging out with trees improves one's concentration, eliminates headaches, and even eases stress and depression. It was the Tao master Mantak Chia who taught his students to meditate with trees because he says trees are natural processors that release negative ions. According to the Taoist viewpoint, trees, because they've been around for a little while and are grounded in one place, are able to transmute energy and absorb universal forces. I'm sure many of you remember the poem by Joyce Kilmer. I think I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast. A tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray. A tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. Well, God, or my name for God right now, which is the unlimited field of infinite possibilities, not only made a tree, but there's nothing that God did not make. Everything is from that universal field. So, one of my favorite quotes these days is from an author whose name is Martha Beck, and she says, if you allow it, your life will flow into zones of astonishment that you could never have invented. What would your life be like if you looked with astonishment on everything that's going on in your life, especially those things that you have discounted or diminished or mistreated? What's one thing in your life right now that you are discounting, that you are diminishing, that you are condemning? There's a Zen story that is called Just Tree. And the story goes as follows. There was a young Buddhist monk in a monastery who would go for a daily session with a Zen master. And the master would ask him some questions and the monk would leave. And one time the monk walked in, the master looked at him and said, "What happened to you? You look so alive and filled with light." And the monk replied, "What do you mean? I see a difference in you, my son. What happened?" And the monk told him, "I was walking across the courtyard and I saw a big oak tree. I stopped and looked at it. I had seen it many times before, but this time I saw just tree. I saw just the tree. Somehow it took me to such a deep place that I had never felt before, an awakening. I felt a moment of enlightenment. It took me beyond myself." The master said, "That tree has been here for 100 years. You have walked by that tree every single day since you've been here." "Yes," said the student, "but when I previously walked by the tree, it often reminded me of the tree Buddha sat under when he reached enlightenment. Other times, the tree reminded me of one I fell out of when I was little. The tree always stimulated thought patterns from my past, but this time, I saw just tree." So as we climb out of our heads, as we escape the four walls in which we endlessly circle, we discover that our true purpose may be happening as close as the nearest tree. God bless you.
Reverend David, thank you so much for that. I confess I am a tree hugger. I can't help it. And recently, one of the trees in my front yard, when I went out to look at it, looked like it had been struck by lightning. And that was really surprising to me because I had no idea when that had occurred. And I remember putting my hands on the tree and kind of blessing it for health and healing that it would, because I really do love this tree. And I have favorite trees all over Spokane, and I take pictures of them every year to see how they change. So I so much appreciate what you have to say about that, as I do with every topic you ever bring to us. Thank you so much for that today. It is time to consider our love offering. And I invite you to consider the gift that you wish to share with this ministry as we begin to pass the offering bags. For those who are home, instructions will be displayed on the screen as to how you can donate. And we're going to have some music while that happens.
Peace is the promise I made today. There's nothing greater for me to say than to lay down my fears, lay down all happiness
you. You know, there are times when I hear you sing that I want it to be like in the old days when we had the stadiums and the lighters. And I know they use phones now, but I am an old-fashioned girl. I invite you to join me in blessing these gifts as we affirm together our love offering statement together. Divine love in, through, and as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you. I invite you to place any prayer intentions in the box before you leave today. Our prayer team will pray on those with silent unity for the next 30 days, and then we'll send them off and they'll pray for them for another 30 days. Also, feel free to call your prayers in to the church, and we will pray with you that way as well. Doug, thank you. We do have some announcements. One of our first announcements is, sorry, Sue, it's going to happen. I had a conversation with Sue earlier this week because she could not be here with us today. And something that this woman does is she knits these beautiful hats. And she knits about 50 of them a year. And she didn't want me to mention anything about her, but I said it's going to happen. Because I want her to know how much we appreciate that she does this. And the reason that she does this is because these hats will be filled with things for the homeless. And there will be combs, toothbrushes, toothpaste, socks. I will tell you one of the things that I have heard that the most requested items from people who are on the street are socks and underwear. And these gifts are tremendously appreciated. They will be given to the Spokane Valley Police. We work with them in a particular program where they then put these in their cars. And when they see someone who needs these, they distribute them. And they are so thankful for what they get. And I will tell you, if you feel one of these are marvelously constructed. They're just absolutely beautiful and warm and wonderful. We do take donations to help make that happen. Danielle was kind enough to construct this beautiful box for us. As you can see, it's very, very festive. So this will be placed somewhere where you have access to it. Also, if you want to mail in your donations for this box, you can mail them into the church. Just designate that what the cause is for. If it's for this cause, for our Christmas project, to make sure that that's what we're doing for it. And also, I just wanted to tell Sandra that the service from yesterday was absolutely spectacular. And I think that not only just getting an opportunity to see more about how extraordinary your husband was, but still the amount of light and laughter that this woman is wicked funny. And even through the service, to hear your sense of humor and to hear the injections that you had to make that made it even more personal than it already was just extraordinary. And I was so happy that I was able to be a part of being here to honor him. So thank you for allowing us to be a part of that, because it was truly beautiful.
Thank you.
And all of you who helped make that happen, thank you so much.
Yeah,
It was.
including you. Thank you for
Yeah.
helping us put up. And
Oh, see, now I feel like Sue.
I do have an announcement, Stephanie. When you have a minute.
I turned it over to you. Please announce.
Yes, I wanted to let everyone know that the Divas are doing Christmas.
Woo!
And we will be at the Jacqueline Arts and Community Center in December on the 10th and 11th. So it's
Woo!
a Saturday and a Sunday. So
Yeah.
I think we're doing our Saturday show at, what, is it 7?
I think so.
I have to check my calendar. And then the matinee is at 2. And we are going to have righteous good fun with some of the Christmas songs and do a little sing-along, and it's going to be a fun party. So I will have hard copy tickets. I don't yet, but you can go to the Jacqueline Center, Post Falls, go to their website, and they've got it all set up to order online. So it's slick. So
Yeah.
join us. It's
Don't
gonna be
miss
fun.
that. They're going to bring the house down. If you guys,
Yeah, oh yeah.
if you guys
Raise
weren't
the
there
roof.
last time, bring the house down.
It'll be fun.
You have anything more to add to that? Anybody else have an announcement? Oh, I have another announcement. I'm looking for Christmas trees. I'm not looking for them forever. I'm just looking to borrow a few. And I will make sure that those Christmas trees get back to you. The other thing I'm looking for is boxes. I know y'all get stuff in the mail, and that comes in packages. And before you throw out those boxes, please consider bringing them to me, because we will be using them as part of our Christmas decorations. And no, don't worry, your address will not be on there. They'll be covered. It'll be fine. At this time, I would like to welcome in the children, because they have been heavily anticipating getting in here.
You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
Well, welcome, and thank you all for being here. I'm going to hand this to you so you can tell us a little bit about what happened today.
So today we drew pictures of flowers, and we were going to cut them out and put them on a bigger piece of paper, but we didn't think that would have went as well as I wanted it to, so we just decided to draw them on papers. And what we talked about was how everything starts from a seed, and then God created it, and that's how the world became to be. And we just kind of talked off that the whole time, and it was pretty fun. It was good. So, yeah.
Excellent. Do you guys want to hold up your pictures so we can see them? Wonderful. Yay! Amber, thank you so much for your contribution to this. We really appreciate what you do for our kids. Are you guys ready to get blessed? Let's bless you. Okay. We love you. We appreciate you. And we recognize the divine in you. Thank you. This is fabulous. One of these days I'm going to rock one of those. I just know it. All right, let's get ready for our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all our way. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it
Let's join in our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. Amen.
I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude of gratitude. I thank the universe for each new day, whether it's sunny or it's pouring rain. In any situation, an attitude, I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude of gratitude. The darkness taught me how to praise the light. Wrong has made me hunger for what's right. I haven't found a place where I don't see heaven's blessing pouring down on me. I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude of gratitude. When Jesus fed the hungry multitudes, he did it with a grateful attitude. Although it looked like there was not enough, he thanked the Father for abundant love. Say yeah. Say yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude of gratitude. I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude, I've got an attitude of gratitude. I used to cry for deliverance, send desperate pleas to the heavens. And it wasn't until I gave up and got still I could see all the gifts I'd been given. I've got an attitude, I've got